I am really excited because today is the day. Today is the day that I get to do an interview with a woman that I have been trying to do an interview with since last August. This is a woman that grew up during the Great Depression, and she is going to share her knowledge of what it was like growing up during that time, which is like priceless knowledge, right? It really is. I knew I was going to be interviewing her, so I literally had my friends send me lists of all of the questions that they would want, or submit questions that they would want to ask her if they could sit down and talk to her. And oh boy, did you guys ever send me questions. So my husband has packed me my coffee, and I am going to go pick up my mother, and then we are going to be heading on up to the town where she lives and getting you a video. I'm just really excited. This is our journey. Welcome to the Betancourt's homestead. Okay.
Well, I hope I'll be able to answer your question.
Oh, I think you're going to be able to answer my questions. So first, I want to say thank you for allowing me to come. I put a request up. This is like a massive topic that I love to research and study. So when I first met you and you were talking about how you grew up during the Great Depression, I was excited. And then my mother, who is sitting off to the side of us, came over and she had made a comment about maybe we should interview you and ask you questions. So then I put up on Facebook for my friends if they had any questions. And oh, they had questions. They were like, yes. So I made a list of all the questions that they were asking me. And this has been since, 9 months, 10 months that we've been trying to get a hold of you, or trying to get with you. Well, and part of it is we had a date, but you broke your hip. Are you all okay now?
Oh, it's healed very well.
Awesome. So the first question, we're just going to get right into it. You're all okay with this?
If you'll give me time to grab a Kleenex.
Oh, you can have all the time in the world.
Now,
Okay.
you do remember that I was just a kid. I was born just a few days after the crash.
Yes.
The crash was, October 26th or 7th, and I was born November 8th. So a lot of this I really don't remember.
So you're going to just go by what we do remember.
Yeah.
And a lot of this are questions that, what it was like. So what you do remember it being like were most of these
great.
questions. Yeah. First off, your name is Sue.
Yes.
And you live in Oregon, and you've lived here for what? You live in Tillamook, Oregon. You've lived here for...
We moved here in 1965.
Okay, 1965. That's awesome. So the first question I have is from Alyssa, and she is also in Oregon. And she's asking, what was it like as a kid or raising kids? Did you have, how many shoes did you have? What was the quantity, and how did they make it last? And what was actually necessary or in excess? So do you remember what your wardrobe was like as a child?
Very basic, always a Sunday dress-up dress, but school clothes and Oxfords, just regular school clothes, not a great excess, a change or 2 or 3, but...
So maybe 2 to 3 outfits?
Oh, yeah.
Did you change when you came home from school?
No.
No.
No, as I remember, no, I didn't. I guess if I was going to be playing outside, perhaps I would put on, some other play clothes.
Awesome. Okay. Now, Alyssa also asks, what were meals for families like night after night? Which is a really good question.
Night after night, things change, but breakfast was always the same. It was always a bowl of oatmeal and an egg of some kind, and cocoa or milk.
So you had an egg every day?
Oh, yes.
Did you have your own chickens?
No. No, we lived in Portland, just right in the middle of the city. And we relied on delivery of things like ice and bread and milk and vegetables. We had a vegetable man.
Really?
And I was really disappointed because ours had a mechanical truck, and the people on the next block had their delivery by a horse-drawn cart. And I just thought that was so nice.
So you wanted the horse-drawn cart?
Yes.
Okay.
I loved animals.
You still love animals? Because
Oh,
I'm looking
yes.
at your dog over here, Ginger.
Oh, yes.
Ginger's going to make an entrance.
We'll get an entrance of Ginger.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. And my mother, an entrance of Ginger and my mother. There you go.
Good girl.
You sweetheart. Okay, David in Beaver, Oregon is asking, how did people keep their houses warm in the winter and cool in the summer?
Well, let's see. In the wintertime, we had central heating. It was a combination, yes, wood, cordwood, and coal, and we could switch depending on which was least expensive to buy. And for the heat, to keep the house cool, we opened windows and doors. There was no air conditioning that I know of.
Did you have a basement in Portland?
Yes.
Okay, because I do know from my history in researching that the architectural designs of houses in that day and age were designed so that the basement's windows could be open and the upstairs windows could be open, and the houses were literally designed to draw the air from the basement up through to cool the house.
I don't remember that we ever used the basement windows, but that was the construction of our house.
Interesting.
We had screen doors to keep out the bugs, so we could open all the windows and all the doors and get any air that was available.
Nice. Okay. And in the winter you used the coal and was that like a furnace down?
Yes, it was a large old-fashioned furnace, and I don't know what they had to do to switch from coal to, they were called briquettes,
Okay.
molded coal.
And did your dad, did you guys just purchase those?
Yes, yes.
Okay. What did your dad do for a living?
My dad was, his profession was printer. He worked at one time for the Oregonian, and he worked for a job printer.
Okay.
That was his profession.
Oh, nice. And did your mom stay at home?
Yes, she stayed home and took care of me. She was a school teacher. She had her teaching diploma.
Really?
Came back to teaching, substitute teaching during World War II, but
Another one of my favorite topics.
yeah, she stayed home and took care of me or went to club meetings and so on.
What kind of clubs?
Well, there was a club called the Irvington Club. We lived in the Irvington district, and I really don't know what they did. It was more a social club, I believe. And then she was active in Eastern Star, and she had a church group that she attended, so.
Awesome. Christina, from your hometown you're in right now, asked, what foods did you grow most to last all year, and how did you preserve them if you did grow food? Now, you said you had a vegetable man. Did you have a vegetable garden?
No, we did not. We planted one during World War II,
Okay.
but we bought all of our food during the Depression years.
Okay.
And we did can. We
Did
would
you?
buy the food and preserve it.
So you did pressure canning?
No, in those days, I don't know if there were pressure cookers, but, hot water bath, great big brass or copper tub that you cook stuff for hours and hours and hours.
Really? So I'm a member of a couple canning groups, and they talk about how they used to can for they can can. In the olden days, they would can green beans for 3 hours at a time. So that's what you were literally doing.
Yes.
Before the pressure canners.
And we had a friend who was a physician. And when he and his family came to dinner, he would not eat the home canned beans until he had personally timed the fact that they had boiled on the stove for another 10-15 minutes.
Because that is told you're supposed to boil them for 10 minutes to kill the botulism. Okay. And he literally timed it?
And he did, yes.
Good doctor. Any other ways that you preserved produce or kept it lasting longer? I think it's an art we've missed this in.
Well, we had an ice box, but
Did you have a refrigerator?
no, there were no refrigerators. It was a big event when one of our neighbors got a refrigerator. We all went to visit, you know. There it was with the big coil on top, and wow. Boy, she's going to miss the Iceman, because that was fun.
The Iceman was fun? What was fun about him?
Well, you had a sign that you put in the window, and it was marked 25, 50, 100. You'd put up the 50 in the window on Tuesday or whatever day he was coming, and he would know that you wanted 50 pounds of ice. And it was fun to watch him pick this up on his big tongs and sling it over his back and come in and open the ice chest and throw it in, and you know, enjoyed that. That was excitement.
So he actually came in your home and delivered it inside your home.
Oh, yes.
There's a lot of communications that we are missing in today's age that we had back then. Like you're saying, your mom had her social clubs in her community, the Irving Club. We don't have anything like that here.
No.
So, yeah, interesting. Ginger in Madera, California asks, did families take in boarders to supplement their income? And what was that like if they did? Do you know of any?
I don't know of any. Everybody in our area were individual families.
Okay, and they didn't take in any boarders. Okay, I have found boarders in my genealogy research. I have found that there are boarders that had been taken over in the 1930s, been taken in. So that is interesting. Anne in Indiana asks, did you know you were going through hard times, or was it just normal?
It was just absolutely normal. Nobody knew they were poor because nobody said I'm poor. There was no welfare, there was no social security, there were no food stamps, you know, you just did with what you had. And if you somehow, somebody delivered a carton or big crate of oranges or apples, you shared with your neighbors. And
You shared.
oh yeah.
I like that. Okay. Okay, wow. Sarah in Texas asks, people compare our times now to the Great Depression, yet now it doesn't feel so bad. How similar is what we're going through now to back to the Great Depression?
Totally different.
How so?
I don't know. It was a friendlier nation in those days. You spoke to everybody. You passed people on the street and you knew them, you know, it just, and times now are sure different.
Yes.
You didn't have a refrigerator full of beer, and you didn't buy cartons of cigarettes and so on, you know, those things. You didn't have the money for them, so you did with what you had, and that is not the way it works today.
No, it's not. So you went to the store more often. You ran into people more often. Is that what I'm hearing you saying?
Yeah.
You were out in the world more.
Yes.
Communicating with people. Is that...
And you knew everybody in your neighborhood.
Okay, and a key. I love knowing people in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
So if you didn't know somebody, say you were walking down the street and you're passing somebody you didn't know, what would you have done back then?
Oh, you would have smiled and said hi.
asked who, you introduced yourself? Would you have introduced yourself?
Not necessarily, you know.
I would have.
Well,
I was born in the wrong time, Sue. Interesting. So you knew everybody. Do you get that feeling here in the community that you live in now?
no.
No. Okay. That's kind of sad.
This is a nice community,
It is.
and friends are good friends, but you don't know them like you knew your neighbors during the Depression, when I was a kid.
Yeah. It's
Your communication, there were no cell phones, and you were lucky if you had a wall phone, actually,
really.
and you communicated in person. And don't do that anymore.
I miss that.
Yeah,
I do miss that.
I do too.
I miss that. I like the Irving Club. I can't get that out of my brain. Irvington.
Yes,
Irvington.
yeah.
Thank you. There is a friend that I'm going to be video chatting with about that later on. How can we get that in South County? Right? Sarah in Texas has also asked, was it as bad as the history books made it to be? So by now, you have fallen in love with Sue just about as much as I have, right? She is so lovable and likable, and as we're talking about her childhood and what it was like growing up during that time, I can't help but fantasize about what it was like, although I do know there were hardships. From a child's perspective, it is priceless. The video, the actual whole entire video, I'm just going to put it up raw, put it up for you. However, it's 50 minutes long and my internet is really slow. So it's going to be in 3 parts. And I'm going to put this part up for you. Like, subscribe, and smash the notification bell. So when part 2 is up and part 3 come up, you'll be notified of it. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next week when part 2 is released.